offensive coordinator, Jeff Lebby. Jeff, are you on? There you are. Can you hear?
Yeah. Got me?
Yep, I do. Appreciate you joining us. Would you like to begin with some opening comments before we get to questions?
Yeah. Mike, thank you. Real quick thing I wanted to say was just obviously how happy I am to be back. 15 years have gone by since I spent my last fall in Norman. So humbling for me to be back in this position, being the offensive coordinator, sitting in a great chair that's got a ton of history and a ton of tradition, and look forward to, fighting for every inch, every single day to continue to build this thing the right way. Fired up about getting the opportunity, obviously, to work for Coach Venables. His passion, his vision, his consistency is something that you can feel every single day. And we've got a great thing going. It's going to be a lot of fun.
I appreciate that. Let's go to questions. We'll start with John Hoover with Sports Illustrated Sooners. John.
Hey, Jeff, good to see you, man. Wanted to ask the obvious question about Dillon and your relationship with him, how far it goes back, what kind of student he was as a young quarterback, and what you like about him moving forward in this situation.
Yeah, well, obviously we got a ton of history. It goes all the way back to me recruiting him out of Mililani High School, going to Hawaii, being there for home visits, him having an official visit at UCF while I was there, obviously with Hype. So we've got a ton of history. I think that the great thing about him walking in the door right now, there's a couple of things, but one is the production. The guy's averaging over 300 yards a game, 3 touchdowns a game in 26 starts. So you can't argue that piece of it. But I think probably the thing that I'm most excited about is this guy knows how to operate. He knows how to walk in the building every single day, have great ownership and how he's going to operate, how he's going to take command of the offense, and what it means to be a quarterback. And so to me, that is huge, and that is critical as we set the tone and the standard of how we're going to do things, with Coach Venables, myself, the things that we're going to do offensively, having that guy that can roll with it immediately and knows what to expect, I think is huge. So the transition's been really good, obviously really close with him and his family. He's got an incredible family. They'll be around a ton, and they're wearing OU gear right now over on the island, so it's a good thing.
Thank you, Jeff.
Okay, we'll go to Parker Thune with OU Insider.
Yeah, Jeff, curious to hear your thoughts on a guy that's actually signed in the early signing period, but wasn't announced yet when we last met with you guys, and that would be Caden Helms, the tight end. And I know you and Coach Finley had been recruiting him a little bit previously at Ole Miss before you ended up at Oklahoma. But I guess kind of coming full circle, and Coach Finley was here for his full recruitment at Oklahoma, but for you to come back and for him to be part of that class, was that like a kind of a full circle moment for you?
Yeah, it was. Caden's got this huge upside. So a lot of excitement about him and where he's going to end up 3-4 years from today. Again, his best football is ahead of him. He's a great kid. He came in, Smitty's already put 7 pounds on him. So he's done a great job. All these mid-year guys, man, they come in with a great mindset. Caden as well, obviously. So it's been good having him here mid-year.
Okay, let's go to Ryan Aber, the Oklahoman.
Yeah, Jeff, good talking to you. Going back to Dillon, wanted to ask, what kind of growth, or what are some of the biggest areas of growth you've seen out of him these last couple of years since you went to Ole Miss, and how you touched on it a little bit with your answer to John earlier, but how important is that to have a guy who knows your offense, knows what you want to do when you're coming into a situation like this where he's really about the only one who has that level of familiarity.
Right. No, it's incredibly important. I think the thing that I've seen from a growth standpoint with Dillon is just like everything else, right? He's lived it. He's got that much more experience since I left him back 2 years ago. And so his production was really good in 20. Obviously, he had the collarbone deal last year. But the things that I saw were him just being able to extend and create a little more. When he was a young guy, he wanted to be in the pocket. He wanted to throw from the pocket. That's what he knew best. So he was getting the ball out of the hand. I think what you saw from him his true sophomore year is you saw him create a little more. You saw him extend a little more. And so those are the things that we're going to need to obviously do things that we all can't coach. But again, the importance of him being here, his ability to be able to go coach other quarterbacks and the other players, without us around is a huge deal. I tell them all the time, we're in a race against ourselves to be as good as we can possibly be before we get into spring ball. And that's got nothing to do with the football while we're around. So how do we get that done? Well, it's Dillon being able to be out there with those guys, coach them every single day. And again, understanding the expectation of how we're going to operate, once we get going in spring ball. So it's invaluable.
Appreciate it, Jeff. Have a good one.
Yeah.
Hey, Eric Bailey, Tulsa World.
Kind of building off that question Ryan just asked, I want to ask you just about the biggest challenge about the install when you, not just the quarterback situation, but the whole offense. You did it at UCF, you did it at Ole Miss, and Keith Bearfield, who used to cover a long time ago at Southeastern with Keith. When you install, what's that like, and what's the biggest challenge?
Yeah, I think it's just there's a shortage of time right now. It's a fine line as far as balancing the time between the weight room and strength and conditioning and then being able to get them with us. So right now, everything is, we're 8 hours a week. Everything is done with Schmitty right now. So we don't actually get our hands on them at this point. And we're not going to be able to see them throw and catch a football until we get out there for spring ball. And that's the reality of the rules. But again, to me, having Dillon, that's a huge piece of it. But what we're trying to do is we want to find ways to get them the install, right, in pre-spring, spring, summer, and then fall camp. And I feel like if they're going to get it 4 times before we ever step on the field against UTEP mentally, then we're going to be in a really good spot. So we're going to be able to get that done and be in a good place once we get rolling.
Yeah, appreciate it. Have a good week.
Thank you.
Jason Kersey with The Athletic.
Jeff, nice to meet you. Wanted to ask you a little bit more about Dillon and kind of how the process came together, because I understand you were recruiting him at Ole Miss. He goes to UCLA. He's about to enroll there, and then obviously you guys have an opening. So I'm wondering if you could talk a little bit about just how that all came together. And then secondly, is Dillon Gabriel your starter, or are you going to have a competition?
Yeah, so the first piece of that was it was a wild few days. Obviously, after the Alamo Bowl, Coach Venables and I in constant conversations, with Caleb and his crew, and with how it all ended up, him wanting to get in the portal. We got tipped off on it probably 48 hours before it happened, and I was able to have a conversation with Dillon. Dillon was supposed to start school January 3rd. It was an online course at UCLA, and if he would have started class, then Dillon would have been ineligible for us for a calendar year. So it would have locked him into UCLA. So it was a wild 48 hours, obviously, constant conversations, and then just incredibly appreciative to Dillon, his mom and dad for the trust, man, and the faith that they have in me, and then obviously Coach Venables and then doing this and how fast it happened. But obviously excited about him being here and doing it.
And on the second part, do you plan on having an open competition here, or is Dillon your guy?
Yeah, Dillon's our guy right now. As we move forward again, we got one guy on our roster that's thrown a college football pass. Obviously, he's thrown a bunch of them. He's thrown them really, really well. So we're going to move forward that way and go get ready.
Let's go to James Hale.
Hi, Jeff. Nice to see you again, man.
You too.
Nick Evers is, and everybody's talking about Dillon, and they should. There's no question about it. Dillon has already established in college football. Nick hasn't thrown a pass yet, but he was a high 4-star guy that, was going to go to Florida. They had a coaching change. You immediately got on him, and that's a great win for you to get him to come to Oklahoma. Could you talk about him a little bit and his future? What do you see in his upside moving forward?
Yeah, so James, I offered him, he was just kind of getting going from a recruitment standpoint. And I want to say we were maybe 5 or 6 at the last place when I offered him. And so have been very, very high on Nick for a long time. All right. So then get here, obviously everything that's transitioning with me here, with what's going on at Florida. So immediately make the phone call. That's actually my first stop on the road. Wednesday, I get here, do compliance paperwork, HR paperwork. I get in the car and I drive straight to Flower Mound. So sat in the house with them that evening. They came up on an official, and we were able to get it done. So again, as fast as it happened, appreciative of their trust in us. But man, this guy's going to be a special player. He's got a special skill set. He's really good between the ears, and he cares. He's passionate about being a good football player. He's passionate about being a good person. He's about the right things. So excited as heck about having the opportunity to coach him and walk with him as he gets to go where he's going to go.
Jeff, thanks, man. Good luck to you, man.
Appreciate it.
Barry Trammell with the Oklahoman.
Yeah, Jeff, you talked about how excited you were to be back in this job and humbled. Did you think this would ever happen? Did you think it was a possibility? You know, the OU Baylor got to be a pretty good rivalry. You got the half suspension thing, the way things ended at Baylor. Did you think, you know, this wouldn't happen? And when did you think this is actually might be a place you could come back to?
Yeah, Barry, I think I always wanted to be back, you know, having the opportunity to be back. I've told a lot of people I've got asked to come to Oklahoma twice. I said yes as fast as I could. And that's the reality of it. So when Coach Venables called me, said, hey, I think there's an opportunity that this could happen. You know, want you to be my guy. He said, you got any questions? I said, where's the pen? You know, I want to sign as fast as I can. So was always hopeful to be back in this position that I'm in right now. And it's like I said earlier, Barry, I'm humbled to be sitting here and getting to work with these guys every single day and get ready to roll.
Darren Emig, Tulsa World.
Jeff, hey, welcome back to Oklahoma. Two things. First, Caleb Williams, did you feel like you had a chance to establish any kind of a relationship with him in terms of his decision-making process? And then second, this is way off the beaten path, but I did want to get your opinion of whether you think NIL has intruded on the recruiting process, maybe has fouled it up at all, or if it's something that you're rolling with without too many issues.
Yeah, the first piece of it, you know, I did feel like I had great conversations with Caleb, had great meetings with him and his dad, and was obviously disappointed when that decision happened as far as him getting in the portal. So there was great conversation. Felt like we were in a great place. Even when I went back to coach the bowl game, they were in San Antonio after the bowl game, all those things, and you know, things worked the way they did, and obviously wish him nothing but the best as he's moving forward in his future. I think the NIL piece of it, you know, there's two sides of it. You know, I come from a spot where coaching Matt Corral every single day, he's given so much to the University of Mississippi, and he's out there putting it on the line every single day. He's a 21-year-old guy, and he's having to find a ride to the facility every single day because he can't drive because isn't able to afford a car. You know, and I'm in the opportunity sitting in the chair that I'm in and getting to do all the things and provide for my family the way I am. And here's Matt, you know, providing me with this because of the way he plays for me. And so there's that side of it where now, shoot, he got to get a car midway through the season. You know, he was done waiting on rides, and that was fulfilling for him and for me, you know, being able to see that. I think it's unintentional with the way the rule is now in the recruiting piece of it. There's people that are deciding to operate on the front end of recruitment, and that being the big part of the sale. Obviously, I think everybody's fully aware that's not how we're going to operate. That's not going to be our belief system with Coach Venables, and everybody's in great alignment with that. So there's two sides of it. You know, at this point, we're going to handle it and deal with it and make sure we're navigating it the right way to get the best players that we can get, while getting the best people we can get, and we're going to be able to get great ones in both areas.
Hey, Jenny Carlson, the Oklahoman.
Hey, Jeff, there's been a couple of comments by people that have been in for official visits about the vibe that they've picked up with the new staff. And I'm not looking for you to compare. You obviously weren't there with the previous staff, and I'm not asking you to compare with with Ole Miss for you, but how would you describe the vibe, the feeling, just how you guys are approaching recruits and their families when they're on campus, and maybe what some of them are picking up on?
Yeah, I think the thing that I've continued to say is genuine juice. You know, there's a lot of fake, fluffy juice out there and energy with guys, but I think when you walk in the building, we really do have genuine juice. We care about young people. We care about, you know, the people that we work with every single day, and we care about Oklahoma football and the University of Oklahoma. And so I think it's very, very unique because we're all tied so tightly together. that guys, when they walk in the building, they feel that, they see that, and it's nonstop throughout the weekend, and it's been refreshing. It's been great, and we're going to continue to build on it.
Hey, Brandon Drum, OU Insider.
Hey, Jeff, nice to meet you. You guys have two guys returning at running back this next year, and Eric Gray and Marcus Major. Can you talk about the new guys in as far as Javante Barnes and Gavin Sawchuk? I know Barnes is already on campus with you guys going through workouts, but can you talk about just kind of their skill set and what they bring to the table?
Yeah, I think the first thing that sticks out with both those guys, Javante and Gavin, is they can flat run. So those guys got great top end speed. They're guys that can find a way to take the distance from anywhere they're getting it on the field. So that's exciting for us. Javante's done a really nice job getting going here in the first 2.5, 3 weeks, and then obviously really excited about Gavin's spring track season that he's having, and then as he gets here, in June to getting going. And those guys are going to get counted on. It's like you said, we got 2 guys back, but we only got 2 other guys on scholarship that are going to be with us. I do think both are incredibly capable and going to have great careers for us.
Brisbilla, Sooner Scoop.
Yeah, Jeff, you have Dillon and Nick. Is there any chance you want another quarterback going through the portal? And how hard is it to maintain a quarterback room in the age of the portal where everyone wants to play immediately?
Yeah, we've got a couple of spots left. So at that point, it will be best available from a position standpoint offensively. I think it makes sense to maybe go get another one if the fit is right, but we're not going to try to force anything. The portal piece of it, it's hard, but I still think, when you bet on yourself and you understand that you're going to get coached and developed, and you're going to have genuine relationships, and you're going to have the opportunity to compete for national championships. And we're at a place that's a little different than a lot of others. I think when it comes down to it, we're able to continue to build some stability inside our room. I think guys will feel that, and we'll be in a really good place building that room in the future.
Appreciate it, Jeff.
We've got one final question from Justin Martinez of the Oklahoman.
Jeff, appreciate your time and good to meet you. Just want to ask about the offensive line. You're bringing Jacob Sexton, Jake Taylor. Just how do you feel right now about that group? And is there a chance that you might be seeing some more additions? You mentioned, or Brandon mentioned, maybe strengthening a couple positions. Just how do you feel right now about where that group is at?
Yeah, I feel good about it. Those guys have really done a nice job as well. We got 2 in, obviously mid-year. Both those guys have been working their butt off. But when you look at it, we've got a talented group. We've got some guys that are young that can't be young anymore. And again, offensively being a little new, being different than what they've been, looking for great maturity from the old guys that have played a bunch of ball to continue to push that group, lead that group. And they fought their butt off the first 3 weeks with Smitty. It's been eye-opening for them, but they've done a great job committing to getting better every single day. So I think we've got guys that are incredibly capable and will play at a really high level.